And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this wonderful Wednesday, May 13th. Temperatures outside already in the 70s. It's a beautiful day outside. Hopefully you can get out and enjoy it. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director Bridgette Readel. Bridgette, low 70s currently and no wind hardly. So, I mean, it's just beautiful outside.
I really don't know what to do with myself without the wind out there.
We should be doing this show from outside today instead of inside.
And tomorrow is going to be ridiculous again.
Tomorrow and Friday.
Yesterday was nuts.
Oh.
For all of you who are trying to fill your planters and are currently coated in graphite, I'm sorry. It's messy. You got dirt, you got the graphite, you got talc. I mean, it's a mess. I don't care what's trying to happen out there.
And we've got a big day on Weather and Ag today. We've got, we're going to be giving away Brad Paisley tickets. We're giving two, is it two of them, Edison?
Yep.
Yeah, all right.
Yep, we got a package of two.
So we'll be giving away two pair of Brad Paisley tickets. We're going to be giving away our darter plastic
Bait ups.
Bait up. Well,
Yep.
Good Lord, I can't talk this morning.
Because I talked to Jason Hammerbeck just yesterday.
Right.
Those Brad Paisley tickets, those are going on sale before the pre-sale opens on Friday.
Nice.
And we are the only ones giving away the pair of two today. And we are doing that sometime in this hour. You have to be the seventh caller when that time happens.
Okay.
And that'll be on the JLA Insurance phone line of 701-293-9000. It's not now.
It's not. If you start calling now, I will go out of my way to make sure you are not the seventh caller when we do it later.
So how about we'll play a Brad Paisley song, and then
Yes.
after that, you got to be the seventh caller. So
Yes, so
listen,
sometime.
Yeah, listen for a Brad Paisley song. But I'll tell you what, temperatures outside right now, like I said, it is beautiful, low 70s out there, and we're going to continue to see a lot of sunshine today. And highs in the upper 70s with light winds out of the south. Now, as we head towards evening, the winds will increase a little bit out of the south, and it'll become a little breezy overnight. And we're only going to drop off into the low to mid-50s opposed to the mid-30s this morning. So much warmer start to the day tomorrow. And then we'll see a few more clouds around tomorrow, partly cloudy. We can't rule out a little shower towards lunchtime. But it's going to be a windy one tomorrow out of the south, gusting over 40 to 45. And highs in the low 80s, so a mild day tomorrow. Now, as we head into Friday, the winds turn to the west, and it is going to be windy with wind gusts kind of similar to yesterday, over 50 miles an hour, with temperatures in the upper 70s to near 80. Now, Saturday will calm the winds down, and we'll have highs in the mid-70s. Now, Sunday, a storm system moves in from the south, and we will see some widespread rain. That's good news. With we're looking at timing about that around lunchtime, so the early morning hours should be dry, but then rain overspreads the area from the south. This is going to encompass the whole area, not only Sunday, but Sunday night. A second system is a question mark on Monday. If that pulls a little further north and hits our area, we could be looking at 1.5 inches or more of rain. But right now, I'm looking at about 1/2 inch to 1 inch of rain from Sunday into Sunday night across most of the area. So that's great news. We need the moisture, and this will be great for the crops, great for the gardens, great for the grass, great for everything. So kind of a split weekend, and then much cooler weather to settle in for early next week with temps only in the low 60s. So a little chilly for this time of the year after the rain. But we could use the moisture. It's on the way, and a couple of very windy days before that rain arrives. So let's enjoy today's weather and Saturday's weather. Both days look great, but today, probably one of the top 10 days of the year. You don't often get the light winds, sunshine, and beautiful temperatures.
And we'll take them.
Yeah.
It's nice to get this kind of weather right now. Believe it or not, we are always one rain away from a flood or a drought in this countryside. And I heard this morning, I was listening to a grower talk with his seed salesman, and he says, I'd take 1 inch or 1/2 inch of rain. I'm like, guys, you couldn't hardly get in the field, and y'all had to wait until it got warm enough to go. Okay, fine. Give it a little time. It's been nuts.
Yeah.
But this is what summer and spring is
a
like.
lot of blowing I saw in southern parts of Minnesota. The winds are so strong yesterday, blowing dirt.
Oh, don't worry, it was up here.
Well, there was also some in southern Minnesota too. Yeah. It was very and again, those same winds are returning tomorrow and Friday.
We have had a lot of wind the last 2-3 springs, more than I would say I remember. Mm-hmm. Perhaps I was just less worried about my hairstyle in those years, but I mean, thank God for Aquanet. But we've had a lot of wind the last few springs, and it sets up in such a perfect way when you've just had fields that have been recently been tilled, planted, etc., and you have that wind come bracing across it for that erosion. Farmers are not on purpose trying to do that type of thing, because I can currently hear some screaming, why isn't there more stubble? Why isn't there more cover crop? So much of that depends on your soil type as well. You know, there are some fields that if you wanted to leave that much plant material out there, you're just never going to get it dried out in order to be able to actually plant a crop. So there's various reasons for it. No one is intentionally trying to wreck the land or, change what you think they should be doing, et cetera. But there are good reasons for it.
Right.
And farmers don't want to see their land blow either. Never.
Yeah,
That's
no
not
doubt.
a good feeling.
Now, do we have to worry with, okay, so the fields that are planted, is there any fear of, with these strong, well, like when we're getting 50+ mile-an-hour winds, of eroding that topsoil and the seeds getting blown out?
It happens. Yeah, if you have enough wind, you will blow seeds out.
Okay.
When you think about plants that start to germinate, you will see, like sugar beets, they have 2 leaves. It's like a little helicopter, and they'll twist themselves out of the ground. If you think about young plants, like in the garden, I've seen this happen where if you don't have wind protection around them, your tomatoes will bend back and forth enough at soil level, will break the stems.
Okay.
Most of our crop is not at that stage. Grass crops like a wheat, a barley, etc., not a big deal. I had a picture from a producer in Illinois yesterday. Geese. I think we maybe talked about this the other day. He had geese going down the field, pulling out plants and eating them. That might have been Monday when we talked about that. But yeah, he was just very disconcerted about the fact that there were wildlife out there eating his new corn shoots.
Get out of here.
Yeah, stop it. I got enough things working against me. Things that are also just going on for us. Keep in mind that this Thursday, there are debates that are going to be moderated on the Fargo City Commission debate. Steve Hallstrom and Bonnie Amistadi are going to host that from 5 to 7 o'clock this week. Again, that's Thursday. And then following the debate, Jay Thomas is going to host a post-debate show to recap everything and take listener calls. If you are very invested in local politics, you're going to want to pay attention to this. So the next Tuesday the 19th, will be the Fargo School Board debate. And then the week after that, May 28th, that's a Thursday, will be the Fargo mayoral debate. So you want to get your politics on and discuss thoroughly, you're welcome to it. As someone who lives in rural Cass County, let me know how it turns out.
Right? Doesn't
good.
matter. For you.
The only thing that's going to change is my property tax is likely what's going to be the case.
Right.
And I have a whole argument about that, but nobody called to ask for that either.
We'll call in.
Yeah. This is the city stuff. They don't care. Somebody want to debate county, let me know how that turns out. So that's just a few of the things. Don't forget that today, as we have our guest joining us in our next segment, that'll be Brad Tickerson. He is the director of the North Dakota Farm Service Agency. That is a department within USDA housed here in North Dakota. Brad will be joining us, and he will be able to answer questions. If you have them, you can email me, ag@flagfamily.com. Weather questions, go to Dean at weather@flagfamily.com, and we love hearing all of those types of things. And of course, there is the JLA Insurance phone line of 701-293-9000, and many of you are watching on our Lighthouse Commodities live stream, Facebook, YouTube, and Acres TV. I do appreciate we were talking about the wind. Quick text here from one of our producers in northern Minnesota, and she said, don't forget, some crop doesn't leave the same kind of revenue, or same type of residue as other crops, like the difference between wheat and soybeans. And that's very true. Right. So Teresa, you're exactly right. I didn't make mention of that, but yeah, after you take soybeans off the field, you just don't have very much stubble.
Right.
So that makes a difference as well. We're going to pick up the American Ag Network's livestock report. When we return, I see Max Steffes out in the hallway. We will do On the Auction Block with Max next. And anytime you hear that chant, you know it is time for On the Auction Block with Steffes Group. Max Steffes joins us today. So, what's shaking in the auction business?
Oh, man. I tell you what, Dean and I were just visiting about the weather, and I hope everybody that farms, that is listening in my voice right now, is doing something productive in the fields, because it's about time we had weather like this.
Wish we could have more than one day of it, but
No kidding.
we'll take what we can get.
You travel quite a bit. What are you seeing for productivity? What have you seen for planted acres? Anything like that? I mean, I know what my side has looked like, but what have you seen out there, Max?
You know, it's amazing how with these 9 and 11 mile an hour planters, how much planting progress has been done. So I would say that average to maybe a little bit below average from what I've seen from Minot to over this way to up north to Walhalla. It seems like guys are catching up pretty quick, and we're more in line with what we typically would see this time of year. Would you echo that?
I would really say that that's very true at this point. Yeah. When I look at planted acres and against a year-on-year average, we're not that far off.
No, we're really not.
Had a listener question for you.
Yeah.
And I knew I'd sent you something. I'm like, wait, I had a question. Ted Turner passed away.
Yeah, that old guy finally bit the bucket.
And
he had a little bit of land, I heard.
he was still ranked number 4 in largest landowner in the U.S. as a private holder.
Yep, and great conservationist. That was kind of always his thing. He'd buy land. So out by Big Sky, he's got a big buffalo ranch out there. And when Ted bought anything, he would put it into a perpetual conservation easement that would never allow it to be developed or cultivated or anything of that nature, and had very strict grazing practices associated with it. So interesting to see him exit.
With that happening, what have you seen in the market as far as real estate? Do you think that changes anything around his owned land? Do you think the estate will continue to carry out? I mean, what changes and impacts could that have on a land market with someone of that size?
You know, there's always a buyer. If his estate or family office or what have you is thinking about making a transition. So it never seems like there's a problem with too much land hitting the market, especially with those large, high-value tracts of land. You know, some of the ranches that he owns they're not 3,000 acres. They're out west in Wyoming and New Mexico, 40, 50,000 contiguous acres. So I know one thing with people of that caliber of wealth, they had a plan, and typically involved trusts and different sort of mechanisms there. So who knows what he decides to do if his family and his heirs decide to exit some of his holdings or not.
As we start to see land changing hands on a fairly regular basis these days, right? That's not slowing down. Do you see that families come to you and then are surprised to find trusts or easements, things they really weren't expecting that they suddenly have to work through? And do you have to sort of mitigate that with them?
Oh, yeah, particularly on the beneficiary side or the next generation down. So maybe mom or dad put a trust together, and the understanding of their position in terms of who's entitled to the land is one of the first questions that we need to understand as an auctioneer and as a real estate broker, is who's entitled to the land. And is there a probate? Is it in trust? Was it an estate where it's a life estate and the remainder men are in title now? And all those questions that we reveal through title work and through questions and answers. Sometimes there can be a drastic misunderstanding of where they think it is and where it's at. I can think of a couple instances in my career where probate wasn't opened in time. And, the understanding was that it was just mine. And 2 weeks before closing, where's the PR papers? Well, I don't have any. Mom just said it was mine. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Real estate fraud. I don't know if you've seen this story or not. There's a rancher in Colorado. His name is Casey Kimbrell. I happen to know Casey. He got a call from a friend saying, hey, I want to visit about that tract of land you have for sale. And he said, I don't have any land for sale. A smaller real estate company had been contacted, someone who certainly wanted to do business only by email and was impersonating the actual owner, Casey, and set up his bank accounts in order to take in the money and was trying to sell land in a fraudulent situation. Common, growing concern? What does that look like for a guy like you in business?
It's definitely a growing concern. So Franny over at the title company actually put on a clinic in regards to that.
Oh, really?
At the Minnesota Auctioneer Association. And I think that the auctioneers are maybe a little bit insulated because generally a fraudster doesn't want the publicity of an auction sale.
Okay.
But, if you do own a lot in Garski, North Dakota, you're at risk for some of that. And of course, there's courts and title evidence and all sorts of things, title insurance that can help you with that. But it is an ongoing thing, and there's all sorts of fraudsters in the world.
we've certainly talked about it with Brad when it comes to machinery. And,
yeah.
Knowing that piece of equipment really is owned by someone and that it's truly going to be, once you make that purchase, and that's why you use a very reputable company like yourselves at Steffes Group to make sure that is actually a real thing, that is a human being selling that piece of equipment who has ownership to it.
For sure. And for us, we get calls across the nation of people that own land in North Dakota, or so they say. So usually you can flesh some of those things out through asking good questions that they wouldn't know the answers to otherwise. So tell me about the history about the farm.
Yeah.
What's precipitated this conversation? How long has your family owned it? What kind of crops did you guys raise? And you can tell pretty quickly. I haven't had any instances where I've had a fraudster try me, though.
Oh, challenge.
Challenge accepted, somebody's saying. But no, we try to do a real good job on the front end, that making sure. I have requested driver's license, though.
I would.
Where I've got just an inkling in my gut that I better just ask for a driver's license or something.
And speaking about fraud, do you worry about AI and fraud through that way?
I don't think any more than the next guy. I mean,
Okay.
a little bit. I suppose that would just add a level of sophistication to the fraudster's tool belt. Certainly it's going to be used in nefarious ways. You and I both know that.
Yep.
There's not a doubt about that. It's being used today in nefarious ways.
And yet, in a semi-positive way, I maybe this isn't the right example. A gentleman posted yesterday on Twitter that someone he follows as a YouTuber had shared a few pictures of his newly acquired farmstead. And the gentleman who made the tweet said, I suspected it was in the Dakotas or Minnesota just based on the landscape. So I fed that picture into AI and asked it for a location, and it found it.
Wow, that's impressive.
So I don't know if that can impact your business in any way or not, Max, but there's another thing to consider.
It must have been utilized in the listing somewhere, and that's
Sure.
how it was cross-referenced.
Absolutely.
I don't know how else it would have found that, but that's interesting.
Okay, well, more things for your IT department to be well aware of.
Oh, yeah, for sure. for sure.
You just never know what they're going to need next.
Yep.
We've talked a lot about the U.S. Drought Monitor. I think there's 16 states that are heavily impacted by it right now. In a situation like that for farmland, do you see that as buyers, if a farmer wants to sell some land, do the buyers want to negotiate harder because it's dry, it feels like it's not as lush, they may be pointing out more defects? Does anything like that impact it when folks are trying to buy?
Oh, certainly. So the three leading indicators in terms of what affects the land market, first and foremost, commodity prices. Second would be interest rates, and third would be yield. So obviously the drought equation affects the yield portion of things. So, and then from a buyer perspective, buyers typically and bidders will waffle with uncertainty. So that's why we try not to do big land auctions in the middle of July, because people don't know if they're on foot or horseback in July.
Right.
I mean, the crop's burning up. The weather markets are all over the place.
My banker just called. It's mid-season and things aren't looking positive.
You guys don't know where they're at. So, it absolutely plays into the equation. And if you get a drought-laden area that is adversely effective, sometimes that can be the thing that breaks the camel's back. And if somebody is on the edge financially, that drought can push them over.
You have such a wealth of knowledge, Max. I feel like it's essentially an interrogation when you come in. What are you thinking?
I love it, though.
What's going on?
Good.
But talk just a moment about Steffes Group and your long history in this region and why people come to you to do business.
Yeah, so 66 years now. So Grandpa Bob founded the auction company. A lot of people don't know this, but Grandpa liked to sing. And great-grandpa Ed, he was kind of a money guy, a wheeler-dealer guy. And he told Grandpa, well, don't do that. You should go to auction school. Singers don't make any money. And
he apparently didn't know Lawrence Welk would exist in new talent.
Well, the top echelon, I suppose, is excluded from that. But the lion's share of singers, probably not so much. But so he went to auction school and primarily engaged in livestock through the 60s and 70s. Actually won the World Livestock Auction Contest in 1972. Which before his passing, he gave me his championship ring. It's kind of a family heirloom.
That's very cool.
And naturally transitioned into the farm consolidation that occurred in the 70s and the 80s, and pretty much relied strictly on Cass County because there was a lot of farms out there. And the farm crisis of the 80s, of course, blew our business up from a regional perspective. And then my dad got involved in 1984, and in 1995, my grandfather got in a bad car accident, broke his back and hurt his leg, and my dad actually did a stock redemption agreement, bought Grandpa and Grandma out, And Dad has taken risk and really grown the company to last year we did 625 auctions in 24 states and 2 Canadian provinces. So it's really grown and blossomed, but we're still a family-owned company with, Grandpa instilled all those values that we have. Say what you do and do what you say, under promise, over deliver, all those brand promises that really embody the ethos of Steffes and who we are each and every day.
Now, did anybody inherit his singing skills? Would you like to,
I didn't. I definitely didn't.
No, okay. All right.
No,
Okay.
Not even close.
Well, and for all of those reasons, again, those are why folks come back to continuously do business with Steffes Group,
Yep.
because of the long history, that commonality of family in the region as well. And you are now the largest independent auction company in the U.S.
We are. And when you're in the service business, and there's people listening that have service businesses that know this, all you have is your name and reputation.
Absolutely.
And if you lay an egg in Hazelton, North Dakota, because you didn't do the right thing for that person, guess where you're not going back to for probably 10 or 20 years.
That text message took 3 minutes to get to all the neighbors.
Exactly. And they're going to remember it probably when you go back in 15 years and bring it up to you.
They will. Germans don't forget.
No, they do.
Max Steffes joins us every month for On the Auction Block with Steffes Group. Thank you, Max.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Max. All right. Well, should we do the weather trivia?
If you would like to start weather
You know what?
trivia
All
over
right.
the break.
So, Addison, we'll do the weather trivia right now. You take the calls over the break, and then we'll put the winner on if we can get one. So, for our Bait Up, Darter Plastic Bait Up prize, today's Wednesday weather trivia. How many stars are in our solar system? How many stars are in our solar system? 701-293-9000. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. That sounds like a
Brad Paisley.
That sounds like a Brad Paisley song. And so, if you want a pair of tickets, caller number 701-293-9000. There go the phones. We'd like to say congratulations to Arden. He won one of our Darter Plastic Bait Up Cups. The trivia question: how many stars in our solar system? One. Jay Thomas. That's it.
He's the one.
So Arden had the right answer. Congratulations, Arden. Good job.
Was there a second answer?
It's the sun.
Thank you.
The sun is the only,
For those of you who are hectically calling in to be caller number 7 for Brad Paisley tickets, that concert is September 7th. Tickets, if you don't win, go on sale on Friday morning at the Shields Arena. So jump on that.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, who doesn't want a pair of free tickets?
Everybody wants free tickets.
No doubt. No doubt.
All right. So as Addison takes that call for lucky number 7, we have the opportunity to visit with our guest today. Our second guest, the next star on the show. He just laughed. All right. So today we have joining us Brad Tickerson. Brad is the North Dakota Farm Service Agency Director. Did I get all of those words in there correct?
You could squeeze in executive, but yes, director.
Okay. Let me write that down just in case.
Yeah.
Okay. Farm Service Agency, a department within USDA, but yet every county in North Dakota has one of the FSA offices, correct?
Correct. We have Bowman and Slope have been joined together, and there's one other county they've been. So we have 51 counties out of 53, 51 offices out of 53 counties.
So farmers are thinking FSA. That's where I go to certify my acres. I handle all my programs, my crop programs. I can go there for some of my livestock work, et cetera. But to anybody else who's just a taxpayer, they're like, so what does FSA do for the farmer?
Well, ever since the mid-30s, after the Great Depression, that we felt that food security was a big thing in the United States. So in order to ensure that, the USDA came, or I think one of the President Roosevelt's or whatever, that they came up with the fact that we need to have this Food Security Act to make sure that we produce enough food so that we don't become hungry and vulnerable in a wartime, crisis.
Because the FDR realized that food security is national security.
Exactly. So that's a case of where we get into managing, acres, using programs to supplement parts of the country that are going under a drought or under some type of disaster to make sure that we get an even keel supply of food for the American taxpayer.
You are just one of the USDA departments.
Yes, it's a huge agency, yes.
Is USDA U.S. Department of Ag, are you the largest agency within the government?
Yeah, that's bigger peanuts than I can count. But I mean, it's one of those deals where USDA encompasses, SNAP programs and, Forestry Service. So, I mean, USDA itself has many, many, employees. Yeah.
There's a lot going on governmentally right now. There are researchers being told they're going to be moving out of Washington, D.C., going out to Iowa. Forestry Service is moving to the western part of the United States. Are there any of those big impacts coming to us right here in North Dakota? And I know you're North Dakota's representative, but do you see any happening like in Minnesota as well?
No, as far as the reorg that you probably have heard, if there, USDA itself is trying to look at more efficient ways to put people where the land is, so to speak, so that's one reason why forestry is moving out to Salt Lake City, or is it in Colorado or whatever. But I mean, that's moving west out of D.C. to the fact that that's where they have a lot of the trees in the mountains, and that's where the people should be servicing those type of parts of the world. So as far as USDA FSA wide, statewide, we're really not affected by it any way. But as far as the national office, there will be some disbursement of employees across different parts of the states.
As you are doing this job as the state director, is every other state director a farmer like you are? And how much background and experience does that help you in your position?
No, that's I would say we're a 50-50 blend. I was just on a task force in D.C. where 6 out of the 10 SEDs, state executive directors, were career FSA employees, and which is a good blend because the fact that these people know where FSA was back, 20, 30 years ago. And then we as producers and people that came from Main Street can say that, well, this is what's happening in current times, because sometimes we get stuck in our old shoe and we don't want to change or we don't want to adapt. And maybe some of us that come from the outside might have a little different view on that.
Oh, I would say with the new term you mentioned of modernization, you don't get a choice but to make some change.
And I think the government is always, we feel like we're slow to do that, but modernization is definitely something we have to look at. We have a lot more tools today than we did in the year 2000 or in the 90s or whatever. So with that, with having to have cell phones and computers, it's a different time.
Think about, for you, modernization and what that's changing at your offices. We've heard about One Farmer, One File. I was at Commodity Classic in February when USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins made that announcement. If I'm a farmer walking in the door to the USDA or to the FSA agency, does this change a lot for me right now? What does it improve for me? What are the things I should be thinking about?
I think as far as FSA and USDA across that, whether you're RMA or NRCS, customer service has been number one, and that's not going to change. The way that we do that and how we file that, instead of having file cabinets and different naming conventions between agencies, it's to streamline it so that if I'm at NRCS, I can pick up Brad Tickerson and I can say, I can look up his FSA programs. I can look up what his RMA insurance policies are, so that we have some uniformity across, agency lines.
Do you see new programs rolling out soon for farmers? I mean, I'm not kidding you. I think I get 4 USDA press releases a week. I honestly don't get to read all of them because some don't account to us here in North Dakota, but there's a lot. What's changing quickly that's going to impact us here, do you think?
Well, of course, we're all hinging on the fact that the House got a farm bill passed. Now it's all going over to the Senate. And that would give us some certainty as far as getting rid of some of these ad hoc programs. But right now, we're in a tough economic time for crops. The livestock producer, he's doing very well, and he deserves that. He's gone through his tough times at some point in time. But as far as ad hoc programs coming, that's what Congress decides, and at FSA, we're here to implement whatever they come up with.
When those programs happen, we hear the announcement, whether it's from Trump, Brooke Rollins. How long does it take until it actually gets down to the county level?
Well, I think that's a big change of culture. I think back in the days in the 80s and 90s when, we didn't have this technology called cell phones or the internet that we took in, we were able to get that program out to the field office and get them the behind the scenes working. But today when Twitter and X and we can get on, Snapchat and all those media venues, we have to have the secretary get that announcement out there, and then we get to do the training afterwards. So it gets to be a little cumbersome, and the culture isn't set up for that. But we're going to get there because we realize today, information is important, and that's the catchphrase. So once they make that announcement, we'll have the mechanics rolling out as fast as we can. But the goal is to still service the producer, and we're not trying to hide anything from them or delay our times. It's to get that money in the hands of the producer because he just passes it on to the next people in the ag community.
Well, all of the things that happen, like you said, things are coming at us at much more lightning pace, etc. So if my inbox is filling with press releases, I can't really imagine what yours looks like most days, Brad.
It's one of those deals where people are getting almost immune to the fact that we're still in. I think we have 5 or 6 programs that are still open, so that it's something that's kind of the norm of business. So it's not a case of where we get this spike or whatever. It's just kind of a constant stream of information. So.
We have a pretty big spike in business, so to speak, after everybody's done planting, coming in to certify.
Well, I think and we're pretty excited. I mean, as far as getting into a new certification process, I can kind of say that we're actually modernizing our software program. Now, that doesn't have anything to do with the producer this year. Our ultimate goal from Administrator Beam is that we modernize our certifying acres to where it's going to almost get into the hands of the producer, and we as a FSA staff will be overseeing that, and a lot of that mechanics could be done. His ultimate goal is to maybe use that technology in your tractor to populate your 578 maps or whatever. But that's a big dream, but I think we got to get there. I think that's the way the newer generation, the 20s and 30s, they'll operate that a lot easier than somebody with silver or no hair like myself. So,
in the time that we've been talking, I think we've said certify acres like 5 times.
Right.
But what does that mean? Because if I've farmed for 20 years, I know the drill. I know what I have to go do at FSA. But what if I haven't farmed for 20 years? What does that mean to me?
So what we do is it's a voluntary program to participate in government programs. But with that, then you get the benefit of, Farm Bridge Assistance and SDRP and all those other acronyms that I can throw out there. But What we're asking producers to do is come in and certify what they planted on there. So we put that into a database, which then helps when we get back to managing that crop supply nationwide, so that we can use that information to know where we have the shortages, and where, as far as making sure that producers have that, steady flow of food supply coming into the America stream.
What if I'm a livestock producer? Do I still come to the FSA office, or am I looking at NRCS, or what other acronym should I be seeing more frequently?
We can do a lot of acronyms and livestock programs too. And the good thing with that is, they're an independent bunch, and rightly so. But what happens with the livestock programs, we get into these drier times when they get hay shortages, or if we have a bad spring calving year, we have what they call a livestock indemnity program. So there are programs that are available to the livestock producer. It's just that he doesn't have to certify his cattle herd numbers, because I was once told that if you ask a cattleman how many head of cattle he runs, he'll come back at you, how much money do you have in your bank account?
They will.
Yeah, I know. And rightly so.
So as a guy with a pretty extensive farming background, when did you decide that you wanted to spend a little more time in politics, and then also find yourself, because this is not your first go around with FSA?
Right, and I don't think this is politics, Bridgette. This is a case where I have a passion for the North Dakota producer, and I want to make sure that the government and the North Dakota producer can work side by side. I don't want Big Brother to, hold that big club over the producer's head, and I don't want the producer to say that I'm bigger than the government and I can circumvent all these rules and regulations. There's a happy medium there, and most of it is just to make sure that we understand where the other one's coming from and understand the situation. So back in Trump 45, when I had a good friend, Dale Irie, that worked at FSA for many, many years, and he thought I could do this. At that time, of course, we were in that drain the swamp. I have no political background, so to speak, so I was that perfect green hand farmer from Steele County that could come to Fargo and try and make a difference in these producers' hands or whatever. And I guess I didn't get it right the first time, so Senator Hoeven thought I should come back and do it the second time. So we'll see. I don't think I'll get it right the second time either. So.
But maybe just a little bit more influence.
Well, and, with that, you develop relationships. And I just came home from D.C. last week when we did a task force, and that's where the term modernization came up. And, of course, we have a new administrator from Pennsylvania, a farmer like myself. He's not a politician either, and we kind of think alike. And he wants to use the tools that technology is giving us to make it more streamlined for FSA employees and producers. I mean, it's both sides.
So when new ideas are out there, do you call some of your farming neighbors and ask their thoughts on it, or do you just give them an open line to call you with input? Because like you said, if you've got a task force friend who's coming in from Pennsylvania and you want to carry the message of what farmers really need, how do you gather that?
Yeah, I don't have to call. I must be accessible enough. I get enough text messages, enough calls coming my way, which is great because I love that feel. I love going around to producer groups and networking with these producers, because those are the people that are living the life and walking the walk. So, I mean, if I can feel what they're feeling, and we've had some issues back in Trump 45 in 2019, I think it was a really, really wet fall, and bringing dignitaries in here to experience that's huge, and that makes a big difference on policy.
How often do you get the chance to invite them and they actually make it here?
Well, I don't do a whole lot of inviting, but when they come here, I really want to be an ambassador for North Dakota, and I show them the best of times that I can. I know Bill Beam was here during Big Iron, and I think he was here for 2 nights, and I think when he left, he said I had 14 hours in a motel room. So that's okay in 2 nights to spend 14 hours.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we had in beet fields and an edible bean field at the West Fargo Fairgrounds. It was a really good time, and he got to see a lot of North Dakota eggs. So if I can be that ambassador, I think I doing my job.
Because you are in constant contact with all the county offices, as you move from the western part of the state to the east, do the needs of your farmers change drastically, or is everyone seeing the same concerns?
Well, of course, we talk about the further west we go, the more cattle influence. And, of course, the more diversity we have. And I think that's something that we, even on the east here, that are relying on crops, have to look back at what our grandfathers used to do. I mean, everybody used to have a few cows and maybe even a milk cow here and there. I don't think we're going to get to that because
I've milked cows. I don't recommend it, you guys.
But I think diversity, whether it's maybe a side business or whether it's livestock or whatever it is. But I think one time, once we put all our eggs in one basket, we are relying on that basket for our our income. And if we can diversify a little bit, and I think we go west, producers are more diversified, and we have your big crop producers out there too. But everybody on the crop side is definitely feeling the hurt right now.
Absolutely. And I think that there is a great appreciation for wanting to find those solutions that are happening at a government level, and knowing that people like you are much more accessible locally makes a difference to that.
I would hope so, and I think that people know that I'm a producer and that I've walked the walk like they have, and I know where the shortfalls are, and we get back to high interest rates, and we're probably with these input costs and low commodity price. The good part is, hey, we got a little rally, and the wheat prices are going up because we didn't want the drought here, and we better get some rain this weekend. But,
yes, we should.
Sunday promise.
Yeah,
Promise.
okay, Dean,
I don't make many promises, but we will on Sunday.
Okay, and then even going to have a hangover on Monday with some leftovers?
Monday's the wild card. There's a second system, and a couple of our models are bringing it right into the area, and a couple of them bringing it south, like from, let's say, Alex southward towards the cities. So if that second one comes further north, we could wind up with 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches.
The old adage, farmers plant in dust, then their bins will bust.
That's what we're going for.
If, Dean, you pull that off, that's going to be a great start.
Let's hope so.
Yes.
Yeah, let's hope so.
In the last minute or so that we have, I do want to check, first of all, do you want to put a plug in for, you're always looking for employees statewide, and then also, where people can go to answer their questions when it comes to FSA.
Right. So currently, as far as on the employment side, we just got out of a hiring freeze here about 2 months ago. So you can go to USA Jobs. That's a good starting site. And then not only that, but just go to your local county office, and maybe there's an opening there or whatever. As far as, things that are happening in FSA world right now, we are getting geared up for that certification process. That's a big thing. Farm Bridge Assistance Program with the specialty crops, if I can get the acronyms, that money now should be hitting producers. But here in North Dakota, we're based a lot on program crops. So as far as that's not going to be a big play.
Call the local offices. So many times you can find the answers to what you're looking for by simply searching for Farm Service Agency. You'll find it under USDA.org. And certainly don't be afraid to just get those questions answered from the folks at the agency. And if they don't know, find out who can.
Right, absolutely. Thank you, Bridgette. This has been good.
Thank you so much for coming in. Anytime you want to talk about stuff that's going on at FSA, just drop me a line and we'll get that done, Brad.
Will do.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad. Well, that'll do it for today's edition of Weather and Ag in Focus. Get out and enjoy a picture-perfect day out there today. But don't go anywhere just yet. Jay Thomas Show is coming up next.